Good Christmas Eve morning to you. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out on a much-deserved vacation this week and next week. I'll be out next week as well. Pete Boyles filling in. And Adam, we're getting calls about the Christmas music special thingy happening on 710 KNUS. Can you fill a few people in on that?
Yeah, it's called Christmas Across the Lands. You might have listened in the past few years. It's going to be Christmas music for 12 hours straight, starting tonight at 5 p.m. and ending at 5 a.m. That's Christmas Across the Lands here on 710 KNUS.
That's awesome. I will be crazy busy with kids and gifts and family and all that stuff. So turn it on in the background while you got all that stuff going on. It's great.
What song have you had sticking in your head these last few days?
Waking up with Jeff and Bill. That thing, no. It's in my kids' heads too. They walk around the house. Waking up with Jeff and Bill. We have one. Santa Trump. I'm going to make Lindsay wait a little bit because this is so good. Have you heard our Santa Trump song? We're going to release this with a video right after the show. Adam, do you have it? All right, Adam's going to play Santa Trump. Get ready for this. He's going to go perfect with that sweatshirt.
Okay.
He's flying in loud, wrapped in red, white, and blue, making promises bigger than the North Pole view. He's got a list. It's tremendous, they say. Best list ever made. Believe me. Okay. He says prices are dropping, jobs everywhere, factories humming, flags in the air. Santa Trump is coming to town. Gas is so cheap you won't believe the sound. Prices down, jobs all around. Santa Trump is coming to town.
Woo, that's a banger. What do you think of that one, Mr. Hugo?
Love that. I love that.
Santa Trump.
The song has been stuck in my head for the last week.
Yeah.
Mele Kalikimaka.
Right out of Christmas Vacation, right? With Chevy Chase.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. And that's the Hawaiian one, right? Mele Kalikimaka is the thing to say. The thing to say, that's right.
On a bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
Which is basically what we're experiencing. 69 today is the high. 70 degrees. I'm a Colorado native. I can't ever tell you a time it was 70.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've been here since 1999. I can't recall. Maybe there has been, but I can't recall Christmas Eve at 70 degrees.
Good night. Wow. Well, join the conversation. Give us a call. The phone line.
Must be that global warming.
I think I like it. A little 303-696-1971, the phone line. Or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Sitting in for Bill today, Hugo Chavez Ray, the Hispanic Patriot podcaster. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to talk with Lindsay Malaconi coming up in just a second. She's got a great event coming January 10th, and today's the last day to get discounted tickets to it. It is called the Golden Summit. It's up in Golden, Colorado, all about building Colorado's conservative future. We'll get to that. Jeanette Visquera getting out for Christmas. Jeanette. I went down to some of those protests. She was held by ICE. She was given a deportation order, and she's just like, no. And then Trump got elected the first time she ran into a little church. Little pitter-patter feet into a church. Hid out there, and then walked out and was working at Target, got picked up, put in an ICE detention facility. Refuses to go back to Mexico, but has been granted bond by a lib judge here in Colorado. We'll talk about that in the 8 o'clock hour.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. And then Trump National Guard ruling coming from the Supreme Court. Lots to cover today. Now, though, is time for the news.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for more like October than Christmas time weather here across the metro area in Rocky Mountains and High Plains. High temperatures today and Christmas Day, a good 25 degrees above average, near 70. Record warmth will be likely with nighttime lows above average too and just near 40 degrees. Friday, stay in the 60s, then 50s on Saturday, 40s Sunday. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
That was my father-in-law's favorite song. We're
Hugo's having a ton of fun. Live in studio, he's filling in with me as co-host today, the Hispanic Patriot Podcast. Well, look, to say Merry Christmas to you. All right, so we know the battles ahead for conservatives are. We often think about the statewide battles, right? Who's running for governor, senator, all that stuff. And I get it. It's important, absolutely important. But real wins right now in Colorado can be made at the local level. And I'm so impressed when you get great local Republican leadership. I mean, people that not looking for the spotlight. This is really just about improving their community, and they put in so much hard work. They door knock. They organize volunteers. They're out there winning local seats to make our communities better. And one of them that I found very impressive is Lindsay Malaconi. She's got a great event coming up called the Golden Summit, Building Colorado's Conservative Future. It's Saturday, January 10th, 5:30 to 8:30 at the club at Rolling Hills in Golden, Colorado. She joins us now to give us some insight on it. Good morning, Lindsay. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Hugo Show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Hugo. Thanks for having me on the air.
So tell us about this event. What do you hope to achieve? Who's speaking? All that stuff.
Okay, well, the Golden Summit is a night for leaders and prospective candidates and anyone committed to building Colorado's conservative future. And speakers, we're going to have Jeff Hunt, Nicole Hunt, Jarvis Caldwell, and Heidi Ganal. So we're super excited because we're going to have some of our most influential conservatives in the state.
It's going to be home-style barbecue, Western chic, live country rock, in addition to my wife and I, plus Jarvis Caldwell, who's the top Republican in the Colorado House of Representatives, and Heidi Ganal, who was the Republican nominee for governor, now leads Rocky Mountain Voice. So it's going to be a really fun night with conservative leaders, and it's going to be entertaining. It's not going to be just a bunch of boring political speeches. You're going to have good fun. And I love the idea of Western chic. So tell us about the atmosphere. What does Western chic mean?
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to pay tribute to Colorado's rugged, freedom-loving heritage back when common sense and independence and conservative leadership shaped our state. And we thought, how better to do that than with a Western theme? But we wanted it to be a special night out. So we thought it's not just Western, it's Western chic. It's when you get dressed up, when you shine your boots, when you put on your nice hat and go out to have a lot of fun.
And then live country music. And speaking of hats, people can actually purchase a personalized custom hat?
Yes, that's right. So we're going to have Walker Road Hat Company on site. And the hats, they're 100% wool. They're not a party favor. I mean, they are made to last. They're the real thing. And you'll be able to pick a custom band and a custom brand. I was with my friend Jess, who's co-hosting this. Actually, she is the Rolling Hills host. And she was wearing her Walker Road hat yesterday. And they're beautiful. The brands are really unique, super impressive. And so we thought it would bring a fun element to the party, not just holding your cocktails, but something more than that with the hats and the live music.
All right, so I got to tell you about our brand. All right, because our little family ranch has a brand. Now, I recognize that, and I get all this criticism online that I'm all hat, no cattle, which is true. I'm all hat and some goats, but I'm literally a walking Alan Jackson. So I'm a guy who went country. I grew up in Cherry Hills and went to Cherry Creek High School, and then fell in love with the country lifestyle and just moved out east. So I went country, and so we buy this little ranch. We have some goats and chickens, and I'm like, honey, we need a brand. So we go, and you actually have to apply for a brand. There's a brand management aspect in this state, and you have to apply for it because of cattle rustling, which has actually ironically come back. But your brand represents who your cattle belong to. So we got a brand, and we're the Hunt Family Ranch. I've never been into like the idea of having a ranch that's named something obscure like Salt Rock or whatever. It was like, we're the Hunt Family Ranch. So I fill out the little form and I do HFR, Hunt Family Ranch. I'm like, get the brand. And they send us, you've been approved. And I show it to my wife and I'm like, hey, look, we got it on brand. It says HFR. And my wife goes, Jeff, it says heifer. Your brand says heifer on it. We don't even own cows, and your brand is heifer. And she's like, I'm not going to wear a shirt that says heifer on it. So, yeah. So that's our brand. But we could get it custom made on this hat. We're talking with Lindsay Malaconi. Lindsay's putting together a great event January 10th, 5:30 to 8:30. It's called the Golden Summit, Building Colorado's Conservative Future. My wife and I will both be speaking there, along with Jarvis Caldwell, the top Republican in the House of Representatives, and Heidi Ganahl, the great conservative leader. Now, early bird tickets end today, so you got to buy your tickets. And by the way, there's a link at my X account. You go to x.com/Jeff Hunt. You can find it there, or go to HD30. JeffCoRepublicans.com, HD30, JeffCoRepublicans.com. But I want to, first of all, tell us about the early bird special ending today. People got to act today. But where the money's going to go that you're planning to raise.
Sure. So House District 30 exists to get Republicans elected, specifically a representative to the state House seat for 30. And that state House seat is currently occupied by Rebecca Stewart, one of the primary sponsors of 1312. And so we are...
And what was 1312?
1312, and correct me if I don't exactly say it right, but it was basically the bill where if you dead name your child and then you end up in a custody battle, your child could be taken away from you.
Right. Terrible law that basically tells the courts to hand the kids over to the parent that wants to trans the kid.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, she's super lib.
Yeah, who could be?
Go ahead. Say that
Yeah.
Who could be against that, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah. So Rebecca Stewart currently holds this seat, super lib.
Yes. Yep. And so the money that comes out of this event will go into growing our base and supporting candidates. So right now we're at a very grassroots level, but we are going to be changing that. And so sometimes, there are some operational items, like sometimes we buy booths or palm cards, but overall what we did 2 years ago is we brought our bank account down to, I think, $25 and gave all of that money that we had to our candidate. And that's what we plan to do again in 2026.
And that's important for people to understand, because a lot of people will think, well, if you raise your hand and you say, I'm going to run, and you're the Republican, well, then the Republican Party just brings all this money in, right? And all of those operations, and you just get elected. But that's not how it works, right, Lindsay?
Special bags.
Yeah, special money
that.
bags. Yeah. Explain why candidates have to really oftentimes raise their own support entirely.
Well, we're operating at a very grassroots level in Colorado, and a lot of our Republican groups, we change leadership I'm speaking at a House district level, but we change leadership every 2 years, and it's volunteer-based. So when it comes to raising money or even having a bank account, we lack a lot of momentum. So then when a candidate comes and thinks, okay, I'm your candidate, you're going to support me, the funds are pretty small. So we're trying to change that. This event is one of the ways, but fundraising is not our primary goal with this event. Our primary goal is to find people. So to find anyone who's thought, hey, somebody should step up, or maybe I should step up. And they've wondered, how do I get involved? Is it through volunteering? Is it through being a candidate? Is it through donations? Anyway, time, talent, treasure, we want to meet you and let you ask questions and find out who you would be working with, where the money would be going, who the candidates could be. Are you the candidate? And that's the primary goal of this event.
That's Lindsay Malaconi. Lindsay organizing the Golden Summit, Building Colorado's Conservative Future, Saturday, January 10th, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., the club at Rolling Hills, homestyle barbecue, Western chic, live country rock. I'll be emceeing it. My wife, who was recently elected to the Elizabeth School Board, will be speaking there. Jarvis Caldwell, top Republican in the House of Representatives. Heidi Ganahl, the great conservative leader and the power behind Rocky Mountain Voice, will be speaking as well. Tickets, early bird tickets, today, $60 for general admission. That ends today. If you don't buy it today, it's going to be $80 tomorrow. So you got to move today. Go to hd30jeffcorepublicans.com, hd30jeffcorepublicans.com. They've got discounts for students, military, and veterans, plus a pre-event VIP experience with a customized wool hat from Walker Road Hat Company. They will be live on site. It's amazing. They are putting together what is going to be one of the best events this winter. The Golden Summit, Building Colorado's Conservative Future, Saturday, January 10th. Again, the website, hd30jeffcorepublicans.com. Now, they're going to target and seek to unelect this lady named Rebecca Stewart. And I just want to list to you some of the people that are supporting Rebecca Stewart right now. Michael Bennett, Brittany Pedersen, okay, the entire lib establishment, but also groups like Planned Parenthood, Vote Pro-Choice Colorado, One Colorado, the LGBTQ organization, Moms Demand Action. So this current lawmaker that sits in the seat is not a reasonable, balanced, independent, moderate. They are hard left, want to take away your guns, fully government paid for abortions, and then, as Lindsay mentioned, voted in support of that terrible bill that basically allowed judges to place a child with the parent that wants to trans the kid and weigh into court issues. Terrible, terrible leadership right now. Lindsay Malaconi is trying to do something about that. So even if you don't necessarily live in the district, come have a fun night out and support great grassroots conservatives trying to make a difference. And if they can get Rebecca Stewart out of office, put a Republican there, that's less crazy leadership down at the state capitol. That affects all of us. So again, one more time, the website, hd30jeffcorepublicans.com, hd30jeffcorepublicans.com. Lindsay, so proud of all the great work you're doing. I'm looking forward to being there that evening. It's going to be a ton of fun. Lindsay Malaconi, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Hugo. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
All right, we'll continue. I want to talk Jeanette Visguera, this crazy immigrant activist that was been put in jail. She's been put in jail a lot, not for being innocent, for just getting a deportation order and being like, meh, that's not anything I'm going to abide by.
She's our own Colorado Abrego Garcia.
I think she thinks she's Nelson Mandela, but yes, exactly, she is.
Except maybe minus the trafficking and drug running things. But,
yes, correct. But she hasn't been brought up on those charges.
This is the kind of stuff that just drives me crazy. I mean, why are Democrats so opposed to enforcing the law? That's the part that just...
They are, if you're Tina Peters. And we'll talk about that next. Yeah. All right. Hugo Chavez-Ray filling in for Bill Thorpe. Let's talk advanced hair restoration, guys. How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I could achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into all that places that have been balding or thinning for years. It's a new year. Kick it off. Look great. You're going to feel better. Their youthfulness is going to come back to you. You're going to perform better at work and personal relationships. Everything's going to change. Come on. Advanced Hair Restoration. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there's no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. Simply put, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Here's the phone number, guys. Kick it off. Here we go. 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, Jeanette Visquera is the topic up next. Here's the headline from CPR. Activist Jeanette Visquera. I love how they use activist when she just disregards the law. Released from immigration detention after posting bond. I've been to those protests outside the ICE facility. I'll tell you all about it next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show. Denver's News Talk leader, 710 KNUS.
Unseasonably warm, dry conditions on this Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day. Now, the weekend coming up, especially by Sunday, we are going to be quite a bit colder and see some changing weather. In the meantime, though, unseasonably warm, dry weather continues with 60s and low 70s today and tomorrow, 30s and low 40s tonight and tomorrow night. Slightly cooler, low to mid 60s for Friday. Temperatures trending down for the weekend as the remains of a large California storm will move across Colorado. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Sometimes I wonder what Jesus thinks about these carols. I bet he rocks out. I bet Jesus likes to rock out a little bit. It is his birthday.
Yes, sir.
Some of my favorite memes are after giving birth to Jesus in a barn, essentially. A little drummer boy shows up to bang on his drum as Mary's trying to rest. Good morning. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. It is a special Christmas Eve episode. Billy on a much-deserved vacation. Filling in with me, Hugo Chavez-Ray, the Hispanic Patriot podcaster. It's Freedom Day. Nelson Mandela has been let out of jail.
Oh, my God.
Activist Jeanette Vizquera released from immigration detention after posting bond.
Do you sing hallelujah now?
She thinks she's Nelson Mandela. I mean, Mike Johnston thought he was going to have a Tiananmen Square moment, if you remember this, right? He said he was going to stand in front of those ice tanks. And then his wife, who is an attorney, is like, Mikey, you can't do this. You have every right to get rid of illegals. But you run into this progressive virtue signaling. And that's all of Jeanette Vizquera's life. Here's a woman that was fraudulently using Social Security guards, fraudulent driver's license, comes to America illegally, gets popped, gets a valid deportation order. They go through the whole thing. I've talked to John Fabricatori about this, who ran, against Jason Crow, used to work. He was the regional director of ICE. He's like, it was my job to deal with this lady. She went through the whole process, the valid deportation orders. We even said, meet us at the airport. We'll give you the ability to say goodbye to your family or whoever. You need to meet us at the airport. You need to go home. Chose not to do that. Trump gets elected. She runs away, hangs out in a little church for 4 years in the basement of a church.
Take sanctuary in the church.
I think she had a kid while she was in there, too. So obviously,
well,
life was okay inside this church.
Conjugal visits in the church.
She's so faithful that she's having her conjugal visits in the church. Then she actually left and went to Mexico for a wedding, not hers, but for a family member's wedding, and snuck back across the border. Did you know that?
I did not. That's
she's a mess, right?
Amazing.
There's nothing she's protesting other than she's just not paying up on the crime that she committed. It's like, Hugo, you getting a speeding ticket saying, I'm not going to pay the speeding ticket. You get imprisoned and you become Nelson Mandela for not paying the speeding. Like, you broke the rules. We went through the whole process. Here's the fine. Here's the punishment. And you're just deciding, I'm not going to do it. So she's working at Target. Trump gets elected.
Well, look, let's be real. The left isn't good at much, but they are good at virtue signaling and creating poster childs. And
true.
And this is just another one of their poster children. Abrego Garcia being another one. So they find these key individuals that they want to marginalize or put up as examples of how evil the Trump administration or the federal government is. Because they want to enforce our immigration laws. I mean, it's just a never-ending parade of things that they put up to obstruct federal enforcement. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have plenty of politicians like our Mayor Johnson in Denver who spent $340 million of our money and then cut our services. Yeah. So, look.
But it's also a hallmark aspect of being a leftist that real criminals get to walk free because, God forbid, they would have to pay for their crimes. But if you're a political opponent, you will be made to pay.
Exactly.
If you're Donald Trump, it is 30 plus indictments and trials. And if you're Tina Peters, it is 9 years in jail.
Yeah, where's the bond?
must.
Where's the bond for Tina Peters while her case is on appeal? Yeah. They erroneously falsely claimed that she's a flight risk. She's not. She's lived in
Even if she
Grand Junction
does, who
forever.
cares?
If
Tina lives in, if Tina goes to Cozumel for the rest of her life, has anyone's life really been impacted? I mean, I'm not saying that she should, but I'm sitting there, like, even they're like, if she gets out, she's a threat. If she gets, to who? To whom? I mean, do you think people are going to reelect her? Well, if they do, then that's democracy at work, right? But she's not going to do that. She's going to maybe travel around, give some speeches, but to what end?
Yeah, well, that judge in Grand Junction made sure that was the flagship issue for him, that she wasn't remorseful and that she didn't want to promise that she wasn't going to speak out against the corruption.
Who cares? I'm sitting here going, with all the problems that we're facing, you have 25% of truck drivers can't speak English and read a sign. You've got guys chasing down kids on school campuses, trying to assault them. We don't put them behind jail. You have all these problems that actually affect our society. And I don't agree with what Tina did. I think she did break the law by falsifying the IDs. Okay, I get it. Maybe probation, maybe at the worst a few months, 9 years. And then the president comes in and goes, we want to partner her, we want to get her out. And Polis, who took a call from Kim Kardashian to commute the sentence of a guy who drove a truck into 12 cars, killing 4 people, is going to commute that sentence to the same amount of time that Tina Peters. Like, it like comes with the territory being a leftist. Well, that actual criminals walk free and enjoy Christmas, like this Jeanette Visquera chica. She gets out and gets to enjoy Christmas. But no, our political opponents, you're going to sit in a cold cell and shiver.
Yep. Let's not worry about the child traffickers and the narco terrorists and the actual terrorists who are trying to kill Americans. Let's worry about a Gold Star mom that, maybe did something a little bit nefarious, but she did it for the right reasons, in my opinion, because she was trying to expose the corruption. And then our illustrious Secretary of State does it 64 times over, and she gets nothing.
She gets to be the next Attorney General.
Oh, yeah. That's what we need is Jenna as Attorney General.
So here's the article from Colorado Public Radio. Immigration activist Jeanette Visquera was released in time for Christmas on Monday after spending 9 months in detention for her years-long deportation case. Photos posted by the American Friends Service Committee and Coloradans for Immigrant Rights shows a smiling Visquera embracing family outside the GEO Detention Center in Aurora, where she has been held. By the way, have you ever been to that place?
I have. I was there one time and was confronted by, what's the guy's name from the Denver, the DPS? I can't remember his name, the activist.
Tay Anderson.
Yes.
Tay Anderson.
He had a megaphone 2 inches from my face for that protest. I remember there was an Aurora policeman standing like 10 feet away, and he's just sitting there watching Tay Anderson screaming into my face with the megaphone. And then this other guy that allegedly a conservative with his 2 younger children supporting them. I can't remember his name. He's a Jewish gentleman that from Colorado Springs, I believe. But he was one of the ones that was supporting Tay Anderson and the anti-ICE movement. And he had his 2 kids with little signs. Talk about child exploitation.
Well, they've been protesting out there now for 9 months. I went to one of them. It was F ICE this, F ICE that. Yeah. I mean, all the stuff that were protesting her imprisonment there. And then you have Jason Crow showing up every week. Every week, Jason Crow, either himself or his staffer, have been measuring the temperature of the beans served
at this
facility.
Piece of work there. Jason Crow.
So they've been on top of this. They got her released. She was allowed to post a $5,000 bond and remain free while she continues her fight
where'd that
to
money
stay
come
in the
from?
U.S. Yeah, right. That's a really good question. But that only came after a U.S. district judge got involved and ordered an immigration court to make the government prove Vizquera was a danger to the community or a flight risk. But she ran into a church the last time. Of course she's a flight risk when they could do neither. By the way, if she just left, she could. Like, speaking of flight risk,
Yeah.
that's the way Trump's been doing this, is basically imprisoning you and saying, yeah, we could go. You want to, like, I go to these anti-ICE protests, and they all talk about due process. Due process. We need to have due process. And Trump's like, fine, we can do due process. It's going to take 6 months. You're going to have to sit here. By the way, you can be out of here tomorrow if you get on an airplane and fly home. They're not, like, randomly imprisoning people to imprison them.
Yeah.
They're saying, all right, you want due process, it's going to take a while. In the meantime, you're going to sit here until that process finishes. But if you don't want to sit here and in your little detention facility, you can go home. They're choosing not to go home.
Yeah, they offered them a very reasonable self-deportation option, and a lot of them, took advantage of it because they understood the basis of that offer was that you get the self-deport and maintain your right to reapply to enter the United States legally, as opposed to being deported and losing your right to come back. It makes no sense to me why, law-abiding people would not take advantage. And thousands of them have taken advantage of that. But, for the Democrats to claim that we're just evil because we want to enforce immigration laws and give them that option, a very reasonable option, and then they have people like this Vizquera lady who, like I said, they made her a poster child because she's, I guess, I don't know, one of the ones that they chose to stand the ground on. And they give her bond while someone like Tina Peters sits in jail.
That's a really great point. She is facing these court challenges. She's allowed to go home. Here, the article continues. She now faces more months of hearings, though the release has no bearing on her immigration case other than making it easier for her to confer with her attorneys. Vizquera, remember I said she went back to Mexico for a wedding? Vizquera must now prove to an immigration judge that her life would be in danger if she returned to Mexico.
Okay.
She'd already gone home for a wedding, people, and snuck back across the border. Oh, it's always criminals first with Democrats. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Gary, Colorado Springs. Good morning, Gary. You're on with Jeff and Hugo.
Good morning. If you can't hear me very well, I'm out running this morning, so I apologize with the outside noise. Your guest indicated during that conversation, during this hour, I think, or at the end of last hour, regarding there really aren't any Native Americans in our country, based on the fact that when you really go back to it, the Indians' origins came from across the Bering Strait. So using that logic, so he believes that everything starts in Ethiopia. Is that kind of what his thought is? Is that where the beginning of humans was Ethiopia? So therefore, no one's natives, and it's a free-for-all, and everybody has equal rights. The Pilgrims, the Manifest Destiny folks, everybody is just equal to what I call Native Americans.
All right, Hugo, do you want to respond to Gary?
So, if I might, what is your point? What are you trying to...
Your point is, no, it's not my point. It's your point. You were suggesting that there are no Native Americans.
And that's correct.
Wow. Okay.
Well, tell me how I'm incorrect. Where did they come from?
Indians?
Yes.
The Indians So, first of all, I
Did
wasn't
they just
around. So I
magically
can't tell
appear
you.
on the American continent?
They didn't magically. No. So let's go on the premise that I really can't answer that question, nor can you. And so let's go on the premise
I
then.
can answer it. I'm
No, you
well read
can't.
on the subject.
Okay, that's the other thing I need to understand, Hugo. I listen to this show every day, and his previous guests this week, which were all pretty liberal, had they had part of a party, or they had some designation or something like that. Are you just a podcaster with an opinion? Is that it?
No, I'm an American citizen with an opinion.
Right. So, for the record, you're just somebody who's espousing. You're just somebody who's talking, correct?
Well, tell me where I'm wrong.
Gary,
in the
you sound like
facts.
someone who's just talking too. But yeah, no, tell him where
No,
he's wrong.
no, Jeff, I'm not just talking. I'm trying to understand if you believe that no one else eventually or not truly natives, then are you suggesting that during the time in which the West was won, the white man truly had the equal rights to all that land and all the takings that they did? Is that your position?
Well, the West was won by, like you say, the white man, although there were plenty of other non-white people who came across the continent to settle, and that's been a part of history throughout, throughout history.
So their takings
conquering
were legitimate. They're taking what was Indian land. We really shouldn't have these reservations, and they shouldn't have received, which they have hugely over, since the 1800s. They've gotten reparations.
Well,
you believe that's all wrong.
Let's pause for a second and let's talk about the people who were settling the continent going west. A lot of them were peaceful Christian people who wanted nothing more than the opportunity to settle somewhere, gain some land, and raise their families. But then they were met by opposition, violent opposition, by the Indians, and they fought, because when you're attacked, that's the normal reaction. You fight back. So then in that positive sense, when you fight back and you win, you basically have conquered that particular tribe or group of people, and you take the land. That's the way it works. That's the way it's worked throughout history of mankind. Everywhere on the planet, not just here in America, wars have been fought all along the way, and lands were conquered and people settled, and the dynamics of that land change. Now, you started with the premise that I said that there were no Native Americans, and I stand by that, because there were no Native Americans. They came across the Bering Strait and settled into North America, all the way down into South America. But, you're trying to argue a point that is irrelevant, because I'm telling the truth and you don't know what you're talking about.
Because you're well-read, and you sit in your basement doing your podcast makes you an authority on this. I don't get it. I really don't.
But Gary, that's just an ad hominem attack. He laid out his statements, and you just attacked his character. I mean, is there anything you want to attack with regards to what he just said?
Yeah, that his comment about the Bering Strait and the suggestion, which I've never heard before. This is the first time I've ever heard, other than maybe some Aryan national group, stating that there are truly no Native Americans.
I'm Peruvian by birth, by the way.
Well, that's good. I'm German. I'm German by ancestry and Russian. So
okay, mine's
I don't
not
care, but
ancestry. I was born in Peru, emigrated to the U.S., became a citizen, and I love this country. And I
do too. But I also have a deep regard for people that were wronged, unbelievably wronged, by the same government that wronged the early on the blacks and wronged the Native Americans.
So what are you after? Reparations? What?
No, I don't believe in reparations to blacks. But the reparations that did take place at the time for the Indians was more than warranted.
Okay, that's your opinion.
All right, Gary, I
Sure.
appreciate the call. We've got to get to a break here. Gary, I think part of the challenge is it is a bit of a revisionist history to make the claims that that everybody was peaceful out here in the West, that they were all getting along, and then all of a sudden white men showed up and just conquered a bunch of people and hit them over the heads. There were warring tribes, warring factions. You can read about the Sand Massacre, Sand Creek Massacre, terrible, horrible. In fact, rightly prosecuted the atrocities to that. It was so bad in the run-up to that white settlers outside of Denver had all moved into the fort because of the attacks that were taking place against white settlers. So history's complicated. And I think what Hugo's trying to point out, though, is that you end up with this hierarchy that exists in the progressive mind that, for whatever reason, whoever was there first owns it all. And Hugo going, well, just because they showed up first, they came across the Bering Strait, white men came across the ocean. Just because they got there first doesn't mean they get to own it all. And plus, you have warring tribes and no real land legal system for the ownership of that land. So that was all part of the complications of that time. All right, we'll continue. Phone lines hot. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out. Hugo Chavez Ray, the Hispanic Patriot Podcast. You're just a podcaster. Hugo, you have nothing.
I'm
You're
a
just
podcaster with an opinion.
With an opinion. Gary while he's running. Ha! That was one of the funniest calls I've taken in a while. All right, the debate continues. Let's go to Alexa in Littleton. Good morning, Alexa. You're on with Jeff and Hugo.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So there was recently done a research out of Sweden that 79% of refugees went back on seeking asylum, had gone back to their home country on vacation for what they had claimed their home country had war or oppression. And I'm just appalled that all these people, and I'm sure it's probably similar in the U.S. and definitely with Jeanette, if you are seeking asylum in our country, why are you going back to your home country on vacation?
Because you're lying. I mean, that's it.
And to have the time and money. I mean, if I was really poor, I had gone to another country trying to, seek asylum or whatever, I would not be having relations with someone where I could possibly get pregnant and then go back to my home country and sneak back in. I mean, this is just absurd.
No, I mean,
all these people are lying.
Alexa, you're exactly right. It's all a grift. They're going to be made famous by the left, or they're going to get services provided by this country. They're not really facing the threat to their lives. I mean, the fact that Vizguera is going to have to prove that she's in danger in Mexico, as you pointed out, when she went back for a vacation. Come on. It's all a grift. Great call, Alexa. I appreciate it. All right. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to dive into this as well as the Supreme Court ruling regarding the National Guard. Hugo Chavez Ray live in studio. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS.